The best gaming phone has gotten better, and this is the ROG Phone 6, which ASUS has once again maxed out everything that you could think of a flagship gaming phone. Apart from being one of the very first smartphones to be sold on the market with the new and improved Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip, there's also a whole lot of improvements that ASUS has done over the previous model that makes this one of the best gaming and flagship Android phones to own. So here's my full review after using for a week. One of the first things to love about the ROG Phone 6 has got to be the display. This is a 6.78-inch AMOLED display that's got a dedicated Pixelworks i6 processor, which allows it to refresh at 165Hz with a color accuracy value of delta E less than 1, touch sampling rate of 720Hz, and impressive 23 millisecond touch latency. Most importantly, there's no notch or camera punch hole cutout like other flagships, which gives you a proper viewing experience in games and movies. But you do of course have to live with rather thick bezels, but I doubt gamers will actually care. Aesthetically, the ROG Phone 6 might be a huge and heavy device on paper, weighing at 239 grams and measuring 10.3mm thick. The weight distribution of how ASUS has placed the batteries on the top and bottom and the motherboard at the center made it quite comfortable to hold with one hand. Though most of the time this is a two-hand device which will most certainly discourage you to text while driving. This is an extremely well-built phone and you instantly know it when you pick it up. ASUS has also gone the extra mile to make the body IPX4 splash resistant, which is the very first gaming phone to do so, and that's no easy engineering feat considering the phone requires a lot of space for the 6000 mAh battery and large cooling vapor chamber. Design-wise, there's a new holographic ROG logo and a Dare to Play tagline that's customizable with RGB lighting. The camera bump is also reasonable and doesn't make the phone wobble when you lay it flat on the table. ASUS is also nice to include the case out of the box, which is similar to previous models but doesn't quite fully protect the phone. However, there is an optional Guardian Light Plus transparent case which ASUS officially sells for 149 ringgit, which I've been using during the review period and feels very robust. Like its predecessor, the ROG Phone 6 features two USB-C ports, one at the bottom and one at the left rim. The side USB-C port no longer features a 5-pin connector, which is rather unfortunate, as your old ROG phone accessories will no longer work on this phone. But on the bright side, there are new accessories such as the new Aero Active Cooler 6, which I'll talk about in a bit. The ROG Phone 6 still has a 3.5mm headphone jack, which shames many other gaming phones in the market. It produces good clarity and bass but lacks power to drive high-impedance headphones. Also, the front-firing dual stereo speakers sound very loud with a lot of bass, and I very much prefer this type of speaker setup compared to the other phones with their second speakers located at the bottom, which your hands will tend to block them when you game or watch movies in landscape. And here's how they sound like. ASUS ships the ROG Phone 6 with Android 12 and an ROG Team Zen UI. This is one of my favorite Android skins that's extremely reliable and doesn't come with any unnecessary bloatware. However, ASUS guarantees only up to 2 years of Android and security updates, which is a little underwhelming compared to other manufacturers. Despite that, the ROG Phone 6 offers one of the most polished software experience that you can hardly find on other phones. There are no weird UI bugs or crashes, there's a reasonable amount of customizations, and everything performs just like what you would expect from a good flagship phone. Now, let's talk gaming and performance on the ROG Phone 6. My review unit here is the 16GB RAM and 512GB storage model, which is an overkill like previous models. But what I care more about this time is the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip, which promises improved power efficiency, thermals, and performance over the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Starting with benchmarks, The ROG Phone 6 is about 9% faster in single-core and 15% faster in multi-core scores in Geekbench 5 when measured against the Blackshark 5 Pro, which is one of the most powerful Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 gaming phones in the market. Graphics performance, however, isn't that much of a difference, and thermals-wise, it doesn't seem like a huge improvement over the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 if we were to take it from the 3D Mark benchmark. Also, if we were to compare the ROG Phone 6 scores with the iPhone 13 Pro, the latter blew it out of the water in both Geekbench 5 and 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme scores. However, benchmarks being benchmarks, the ROG Phone 6 performs decent in actual real-world gaming compared to the Blackshark 5 Pro, as it delivers more consistent frames when I play Genshin Impact for about 30 minutes with the highest graphics setting at 60 frames per second. The back of the phone definitely feels warm after gaming for extended periods, but since the SoC is located at the center, it doesn't scalp my hands as they rest on the top and bottom, which I can't feel the hottest part of the phone. This is a really smart design, and when you pair it with the Aero Active Cooler 6, it effectively cools down the phone by about 7 degrees Celsius. Well, I'm also happy that the cooler ventilates cool air to cool down my fingers when I'm getting too excited in my gameplay. The Aero Active Cooler 6 draws power from the phone's USB-C port and doesn't require external power, not unless you want to enable the frozen cooling mode. It is super easy to attach to and release from the phone without needing to deal with clamps like other coolers. The cooler also serves as a kickstand for the phone, which is perfect for gaming with an external controller and movies. Lighting effects are very cool and customizable, and there are 4 trigger buttons that can be used in games, but it just feels weird to reach them with the thickness of the cooler. But it isn't something that I can't get used to after a few days with it. The ROG Phone 6 proves that cameras on gaming phones don't need to suck, as it comes with a 50-megapixel Sony IMX766 primary lens that has been well known for image quality and low light performance, a 30-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 5-megapixel macro lens. Image quality from the primary lens is decent in outdoors and low light. There is no oversaturation of colors, noise is minimal, but it tends to overexpose photos at times, and blurry photos can occur if you have shaky hands due to the lack of OIS. The ultra-wide and macro lens are serviceable, but don't expect them to perform as good as an S22 Ultra's equivalent cameras. Video recording wise, the ROG Phone 6 can support up to 8K resolution at 24 frames per second on its primary lens, but EIS only kicks in at 4K resolution, which I think is reasonably good and decent as a camera for vlogging. As for the 12-megapixel front-facing camera, I'm happy that it can take 4K 30 frames per second videos, but it crops into the sensor to do so. Image quality for both selfies and videos are rather average, but it is probably sufficient for most gamers. One thing that the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip has proven to be better than its predecessor is power efficiency. Coupled with the ROG Phone 6's dual-cell 6000 mAh battery, I have not managed to kill the battery in a day when I use it heavily for texting and social media with 4-hour screen on time. Even when it comes to gaming for about 30 minutes in Genshin Impact, I merely noticed a 15% battery drop, which makes this officially the longest battery flagship phone that we have ever tested this year. The phone supports 65 watts fast charging with the provided charging brick, but unfortunately maxes out at 26 watts on other USB PD chargers. It is a little disappointing, but nonetheless better than many others. Ultimately, there's very little to complain about the ROG Phone 6 as an overall flagship smartphone. ASUS has nailed almost everything a hardcore mobile gamer needs, and even if you don't see it as a gaming phone, there's many reasons to consider this over other flagships for its excellent performance and battery life. The ROG Phone 6 retails at 3,599 ringgit for the 12GB RAM and 256GB storage model, and 4,399 ringgit for the 16GB RAM and 512GB storage model. The Aero Active Cooler 6 accessory is also a recommended purchase at 349 ringgit if you intend to game a lot on the phone. Pre-orders will start on the 6th of July onwards, and you can grab one in the link below. So that's all for my review on the ROG Phone 6. As usual, drop your comments below if you have any questions, and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to us if you love this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.